So we just finished recording the wrestling news this morning when this happens. A magnitude 7.2 earthquake has hit Japan, and it just so happened to be right in the middle of a New Japan J-Cup 6-man tag team match, resulting in something that will definitely end up in the 10 craziest wrestling moments lists forevermore. The footage is nuts. You can see the cameras are shaking, the whole ring is shaking, the lights in the arena, the screens, everything is shaking. They stopped all the show, they stopped the match, and they paused for like 15 to 20 minutes doing safety checks in the arena. Everyone was fine. During that time, the wrestlers had a bit of fun with the audience. Tanahashi was there posing for photographs with the fans, apparently. Jay White just decided to take all of the belts and crown himself as multiple champion. In terms of the wider earthquake in general, though, there's not been any reports of any casualties or anything like that in Japan as of yet, but there's still tsunami warnings, and we hope that everyone over there is safe. But yeah, it's just one of those crazy moments in wrestling that you cannot script, that will probably be talked about for quite some time, because the footage from it is just so bizarre. It's nuts. I highly suggest you go check it out. It's all over Twitter at the minute. Obviously, we can't show it here. But right now, I will just take you back to the regular news program that we were supposed to be giving you. Thanks. On today's wrestling news, a WWE star has been removed from all the WrestleMania graphics.
There is some major backstage heat on an AEW star.
Charly Caruso is expected to leave WWE soon.
And we have all the latest WWE Fastlane updates.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? Yes, my name is Phil Chambers and I'm joined by Gareth Morgan to talk about all things wrestling news on this fine Saturday. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below what you think of all of today's stories. And links to each story is in the description below, so click the timestamps and away you go. But first up, yes, WWE have removed a certain quite top-level superstar from their WrestleMania graphics. It started off, they had this big graphic of 8 people, and then now they're using this new graphic of 7 people, and they're missing Charlotte Flair, of all people. Now, this could be something, or it could be absolutely nothing at the same time, and it could just be wild speculation on our part. But it is interesting to note that, as well, earlier in the week, WWE got each of the individual people to tweet out their own little individual graphics, and then yesterday they got them to tweet out a little follow-up. Well, they got everyone except Charlotte Flair to tweet out a little follow-up. So it's all just little interesting tidbits, but we're not quite sure where this is leading to, but it could be something interesting. Now, completely wild speculation on our part. Obviously, this is coming around the same time as all this Andrade stuff and him wanting to leave. So whether they're punishing Andrade by punishing Charlotte is complete speculation on my part. But who knows? Obviously, it was thought that it was going to be Charlotte versus Asuka at WrestleMania, but then sort of she wasn't featured on Raw this week, and they seem to be going in a different direction with Asuka and like Shayna Baszler or something. Not entirely sure what we're doing with Asuka at the minute, but it all seems to be a little bit up in the air with Charlotte Flair and WrestleMania.
It does. I think Sami Zayn has a fellow conspirator to add to his documentary right now. What is going on with this conspiracy against Charlotte Flair? She has been taken away from this poster. I think there is a lot to maybe like link this when it comes to the Asuka stuff that's gone on recently, like with people saying, oh, is she going to be at WrestleMania? It seems like she is like back in kind of fighting shape now. She was on Raw obviously against Baszler, so it's like, okay, are we still going to go down that route? Apparently it was going to be Lacey Evans against Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's title, and that's obviously been scrapped because Lacey Evans has got a bun in the oven and all the rest of it. It's like It's a messy place to be right now, that Raw Women's division. Like, Rhea Ripley is going to get added into it very, very soon as well, and that's just going to be another big star brought into the works, but it's just like, okay, what's that going to do leading into WrestleMania? It's something that's definitely caught a lot of people's attention right now with the Andrade stuff, because he's obviously confirmed that now as well on Twitter that, he did ask for his release, so you don't want to draw those those links to that and just say, oh, that's definitely what's happening, because for all we know, they could just be trying to swerve us, and then it could turn out that Charlotte's going to actually fight Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. That's what's going to happen. Like, we just don't know. We just don't know where this could be. Alexa Bliss just fight Randy Orton on Sunday. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Anything could happen.
It's a wacky old place. But speaking of wacky old places, AEW is a wacky old place as well. So we're going to go over there for a minute, and we're going to talk about not necessarily a wacky thing that happened, but more of a botched kind of messy thing that pissed a few people off backstage. So Jack Evans was having a match with the Dark Order's number 10 recently on AEW Dark, and kind of botched a bit of a Phoenix splash. It didn't go very well. He just like smashed his elbow and face and everything else into like 10's face, and he busted his face open. They kind of rushed towards the end of the match, and it was all really messy. And then afterwards, Brody Lee Jr. came into the ring and like fist bumped number 10, which is a great look. You got this guy blood all coming down his face and his chest, fist bumping a child, not a good look. So according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Evans is in a lot of hot water right now with AEW, like especially a few kind of significant people backstage. It's all because of that and like everything that happened in the match. And it said that obviously it was planned ahead of time that Brody Lee Jr. was going to get into the ring, do the fist bump. So they kind of just went on autopilot and thought, oh, I might as well just carry on doing that, and they had to kind of edit around that visual when that was like released on YouTube, and it was messy. It caused a lot of people extra work to do that and trying to cut it all together. So the actual quote from the Wrestling Observer is, he has heat with people that are said to be the people you don't want heat with. So sounds like some very, very important people in AEW, probably the top names, the top stars, the people who have major control over all the decisions that go down in the company. And you can kind of see where they're coming from, because like I said, if you mess up something like that, it causes a lot of grief for people behind the scenes who have to try and kind of tidy up after you, like just for the sake of maybe trying to be a little bit more precise with a move that is admittedly a very hard move to pull off. I'm not saying it's just like an elbow drop or something that you just throw yourself like it's a Phoenix splash. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but if you don't feel like you can effectively pull it off, maybe don't try it.
Hey, I did wrestling training. Even an elbow drop is much harder than you think it is to land perfectly every single time. But yeah, this was... You could see as soon as it happened, they knew something had gone hideously wrong, because you could see Jack Evans checking up on him directly after his elbow just smashed into his face. But it's just that visual at the end of -1 coming in and raising the hand and fist bumping a guy with blood covered all over himself. It's just not the best visual for AEW to have out there, a child with this beaten up, bloodied guy. So yeah, I can see why they might be a little bit annoyed with it. But accidents happen at the end of the day in wrestling all the time, and it was an accident. It's not like he did anything on purpose. So I mean, you shouldn't get too much heat just for an accident, but it's just not the best timing, let's say.
No, yeah, I agree.
At all. So back to WWE for a minute. Charly Caruso. We reported earlier in the week that she has a lot of backstage heat, more backstage heat all over the place, that apparently WWE is starting to lose patience with her because she developed this reputation of being late for some interview segments. I think Orton and Sheamus were some people that she was late for, and it all got back to the WWE higher-ups, and then she got taken off TV. Well, anyway, PW Insider is now reporting that she is expected to leave as soon as her current deal expires, and that WWE won't be featuring her on any TV programming going forwards. Obviously, they've hired this Kevin Patrick to replace her. Now, she's been in WWE since 2016, so she's had quite a good run with them, and she's obviously got all the work that she does outside of WWE with like ESPN and things like that, so I'm sure she'll be fine when she leaves. But yeah, that is it for Charly Caruso in WWE, it seems.
No, it's a shame, to be honest, because I quite like Charly Caruso just as just a bit of a new face on the main roster. Just keeps things a little bit fresh. Some people have always kind of harped on about the fact that she asks really silly questions sometimes on Raw and just seems really weird and prescribed. It's like, yes, because somebody's prescribing the things she needs to say. Like, it's not, if you look at her work in ESPN and maybe even on like the pre-shows and the Raw talks, she's actually really good at her job. And it's one of those where, okay, if you're going to get backstage heat from turning up late to interviews, things like that, that's like a separate thing in itself. Maybe try not to do that. Obviously, that's just a rule of life, like, really. But people make mistakes who said that.
Not just in WWE, in any job.
Yeah, exactly. But like we've already said in this video, mistakes happen. Like, it is what it is. But hopefully, if she does like head off to new pastures, she has a bright future ahead of her. It's just a shame we're losing another pretty cool like presenter. Like, we lost Renee, obviously, like a couple of months back from WWE, and they're all jumping ship right now. So it's an interesting time of change in WWE. But speaking of change, we've had more change with the Fastlane pay-per-view, which is coming on Sunday. You're doing a nice stream, aren't you, Phil, with Adam Wilborn on Sunday?
Yes, me and Wilborn, Sunday night at 10 p.m. British time. So early. I love it.
I'm so happy. I'll be there. I'll be ready. It's great. I'll do my Sunday work and I'll go roll straight on into Fastlane. It's more of this. Give us more of this, Peacock. We love it. So the actual event itself has had some major contributions after SmackDown, because obviously Edge had his first match in 10 years. We were right, it was 10, not 11. We did our research. It was Drew McIntyre that he fought on SmackDown. So he had his first match in 10 years on SmackDown against Jey Uso for the right to be the special enforcer at Fastlane. Edge won it. He did win this match. It was really cool, and there was loads of spears at the end, and that was its own thing, which we will get into on the SmackDown review later on today. And he's going to be that special enforcer now. Then also, on top of this, we've got another title match added to Fastlane, which is going to be Mustafa Ali, taking on Riddle for the US title. He's getting a rematch after Raw. He had a match there, obviously, against him recently. And then on top of this, we're also going to have Seth Rollins taking on Shinsuke Nakamura, because they had a bit of a back and forth on SmackDown. That's obviously, hopefully, means that we are probably going to get Cesaro in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins. That's what we need. We love this stuff. And then the absolute crescendo, the climax of all of these additions and things confirmed for Fastlane is the fact that we are officially going to be getting Braun Strowman against Shane McMahon. It is happening. We thought it wasn't. We thought we'd been saved, but no, we've not. They carried on promoting it on SmackDown. It's going to be a thing, Phil.
It is. Me and Wilbone were talking on WrestleCulture yesterday about how great this pay-per-view is, because they'd only announced 4 matches and it was going to start at 10 p.m. our time. And now they've added 3 more.
Yeah. Do you want me, I can read off the full card if you like. It's a big old thing. We've got the Universal title match, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns with Edge as the special enforcer. You got the women's tag team title match, Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. That's not convoluted nonsense. We've also got the Intercontinental title match, Apollo Crews against Big E. US title match, Ali against Riddle. We've got No Holds Barred match. It's No Holds Barred now. That's another addition I forgot to mention. Sheamus against Drew McIntyre. That's going to be big and messy and violent. Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Braun Strowman against Shane McMahon. More her. And then Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura. So we get a nice way of finishing off this card.
Yeah, it should be a good fun nonetheless. Just looking forward to it. Join us on the stream on Sunday. But let's move on to our Twitter questions. The first one comes from Jake, who says, what is your wrestling pet peeve? Not a big deal, but it annoys me when a wrestler doesn't move almost like their finisher, but slightly different. Like Sheamus doing a running knee when he could just extend his leg for a brogue kick. That's a great shout, Jake, because that kind of annoys me as well. Yeah,
it's like,
it's right there.
It's like, but you feel like you're loaded into a false sense of security. You're like, that's not what I wanted. It's not a good feeling. My pet peeve, I think I've got a weird thing with if teams have been together for a little while. I know it happens a lot in WWE. People just get drafted and thrown together. I don't like it if after a couple of weeks they're still not wearing the same colour matching attire. Really bothers me. I'm like, you've been having a chat backstage, you know what you're doing now. You've got a plan for the future together, but you've not changed your colours up. I don't like that. It's really petty, but it does bother me.
Fair. Does that mean Tamina and Natalya is your favourite tag team right now?
Yeah, that was what swerved me towards being the biggest or second biggest Tamina fan at WhatCulture. I'm sorry, Phil, I'm second right now, but yeah, the colour coordination really helps.
For me, it's in kickouts at 2. The close click kickout at 2 is an absolute art form in wrestling, and when they just sat there lying on the back staring at the referee, really takes me out of it. Just close your eyes and listen to it, feel the count rather than just look up at the sky or something. Just don't stare at the referee's hand going down. It's really annoying.
Just as a little sidebar for that, I watched The Rock against Big Show at No Way Out, don't ask, in 2000 last night, and there's a brilliant moment where The Rock's just staring at the referee coming in, because there's a referee running because another ref gets knocked out, and it's the most blatant, is he here yet? Is he? And it made me giggle because The Rock can do whatever he wants. It's just is there? Where is he?
Next question comes from Mark Smith, who says, is it just me or am I going nuts during this lockdown and judging Seth Rollins by what he's wearing? He's just smashing this character with his trait, in my opinion.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing that we're judging his incredible attire week to week. I think it's because he keeps
about it every single week since he came back now.
Yeah, he keeps setting the bar. It's one of those. I don't think it necessarily means you judge his character based on it, because I think his character is doing its own thing anyway. But it's a nice way of heightening that character. Adds a nice little detail to it. And this week he did it again. He did it again, Phil. He was brilliant with his
little fade or whatever it was.
Yeah. It's good.
Where does
I need
he get
that game.
these from? Utterly ridiculous. Not since The Rock in the 90s have we seen such ludicrous suits and shirts and things. Final question comes from Mr. Lawton, which, well, it's not even really a question, it's more of a statement. It's just there's a tweet from Bianca Belair, and she's retweeting WWE just saying about Shayna Baszler wanting a match with Bianca Belair, and then Bianca Belair just retweets that just saying, wait, what, why? And Mr. Lawton just says, it's nice to know that wrestlers are just as confused about the booking as the fans.
Yeah, it's about right, really. That's pretty much what I spend not most of SmackDown, probably most of Raw and little bits of SmackDown just going, what? Why? Why is this happening? Nobody knows.
Especially in the women's division.
Oh, that poor women's division. I mean, I think Corey Graves and Vic Joseph said it on the After the Bell podcast recently. They were just like, if you muddy the waters, you're not going to want to drink the water. Like, and that's how I feel right now. It's just to stop making it messy.
Fair. But that was the news. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at FillMyChambers, and you can follow Gareth
at GMorgan04.
You can follow all of us at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you go over to Kayfabe News, youtube.com/Kayfabe News for a breaking story about Bad Bunny going in the WWE Hall of Fame.
It's about time, Phil. It's about time.
It is. Well earned, well deserved. But most importantly, have yourselves a bloody good day.
Bye.